Ooh. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Web3 DJs, home of the fastest 30 minutes of NFTs and crypto on the entire blockchain. Today, we've got an outstanding guest for you guys lined up. This gentleman is a Web3 hobbit, NFT numismatist, metaverse metacognitive, contrarian barbarian, post-apocalyptic yield farmer, and currently the managing director at Quotidian Marketing. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Arizona, please welcome CryptoPunk number 4762, Mr. Brian Colwell.
Well, hello. That was a good intro. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So, how are you doing today? How's the weather in Arizona?
It's hot. Yeah, it was full time today. It's been full time pretty much every day for like the last month. So
Yeah, very nice. Hofstra and I were talking earlier because, like I mentioned to you, I live in Texas. He's been doing some work out here, and the heat is real this year. There's no question about that. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. I think it'd be great for us to just kind of go ahead and get started and understand a little bit about who you are outside of Web3. So why don't you talk to us about where you were raised and all that sort of thing. Who are you outside of the blockchain?
yeah, so I mean, I came into the cryptocurrency world sometime around 2015 through research and through looking at disruptive technologies. So I didn't come in from like the speculative side. I came in through the research side. So at the time, my last full time job, I was a portfolio strategist working with high level financial planners and hedge funds, and my specialization was in commodities. So I worked with I worked on researching a lot of agricultural and metals miners, especially. And one of my primary areas of focus was Africa.
Oh, wow.
In Africa, there's a lot of platinum and cobalt, which is essential for lithium. And then there's diamonds, platinum, gold, all kinds of amazing minerals in Africa. So as I was researching African gold miners, I came across this concept of a digital gold, and I didn't know what that was, but we all know now that that's Bitcoin. And so I kind of went down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out what Bitcoin was, and it seemed really scammy to me. I didn't understand that at all, but I understood the importance of blockchain. And so at that time, I started looking at what is a fourth industrial revolution and looking at cycles of industrial revolution, trying to figure out where we're at in the industrial revolution. So I can understand how to allocate capital to take advantage of where we're at in cycles. So I was looking at cycles like tech innovation yielding some sort of an industrial disruption that then leads to an economic unrest and then ultimately warfare. And so this was, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, I was starting to write and research about this stuff. And now we know that we've gone through or in this cycle of economic unrest now,
Right.
and now we are in warfare now. And so on the other side of this, what we're hoping what comes out of this is some sort of adoption of the primary technologies that are disrupting and that yield an opportunity for right now for a middle class to be reinvented. Since in the last phase of the Industrial Revolution, the middle class is totally ruined. That was during globalization. This is blockchain now kind of gives us, or not just blockchain, but cryptocurrencies give us this opportunity now to reinvent a middle class. But that said, I wasn't investing in cryptocurrencies back when I was first starting to research. I was looking at those publicly traded companies that I thought would be able to take advantage of blockchain. So like NVIDIA and IBM was doing stuff with blockchain, and Amazon already had some sort of digital currency. So I was investing in Amazon and companies like that. And on LinkedIn, I came across one of my friends. He was talking about Bitcoin, and I said, hey, what do you know about this Bitcoin stuff? Like, tell me about that. I don't understand it. And he says, yeah, it's a digital currency, blah, 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 but I don't really like Bitcoin. I like Ethereum. And then this was like, and this would have been like in 2015ish or something like that.
Wow.
I don't remember exactly when that was. It was somewhere around 2015 or 16 or something. And he said, I don't really like Bitcoin. I like Ethereum because you can do more with it. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he goes, well, you can build these decentralized apps. And I'm like, why would you even want to do that? He goes, well, it's the future of business. I'm like, I don't get it at all. I don't understand what you're talking about. So at that point is when I started actually investing in Bitcoin.
Okay.
And Ethereum came later. I was writing and researching about Ethereum-based projects, and all these ICOs were coming out. And so then I started to get asked to interview project founders, and then started managing social media and writing white papers, and then writing technical papers for projects. Like I helped introduce a series of stablecoin blog posts on for MakerDAO, and I helped write some integration announcements for Chainlink. And so some of those earlier like kind of tech focused projects, like I was looking at privacy tech and researching and writing about those kinds of interesting altcoins. Why is there an altcoin, and what's the purpose, and where is this going in the future? And then what actually started to happen as I was writing and managing social media channels is a bunch of my friends that I was just kind of like growing up in crypto with. This must have been like in 2017, 2016, 2017. These influencer guys, or these key opinion leaders, they were just starting to get all kinds of money thrown at them, or what was happening is they were doing work and not getting paid for it. And then on the other side, projects were paying for people to do work and not actually getting the product. So this was primarily on like YouTubers doing work and not getting paid for it because they had a lot of time putting into the content output. And then on the project side, not getting paid, it was primarily like on Twitter influencers, right? The project paying but not getting an output from the influencers. So what started happening is I became like this middle person where influencers were like, I don't even want to talk to these projects. Can you just talk to them for me and manage a relationship?
Nice.
And on the project side, they were like, hey, do you know this guy? I see he follows you, or you're talking to him, or whatever. He's ghosting me. Can you, like, he owes me this tweet or whatever. And so I just started becoming like this trusted third party in this trustless blockchain environment. And then eventually it led to a business where the writing started to become less scalable, and I started working a lot of influencer management, high level marketing, Google ads, all kinds of those types of marketing strategies for projects. So like that's what Quotidian Marketing is now. It's a full service a boutique marketing firm that specializes in blockchain projects with a focus on cryptocurrencies.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that was a fantastic introduction. And I'm notorious on the show for taking notes, and I can tell I'm going to learn a lot here. So I've definitely got my pen ready. I do want to hit on a phrase that you brought up, something that I think is definitely interesting. And can you help our audience understand a little bit more about what you mean by the fourth industrial revolution, and perhaps how that differs from industrial revolutions of the past?
Sure. Yeah. And so it kind of depends on who you're talking to also. So like the World Economic Forum calls this the fourth industrial revolution, but depending, some post-industrialists refer to one single industrial revolution, but then that has multiple phases. So you can kind of get stuck in the weeds with definitions. So I generally just stick to like what the World Economic Forum refers to as a fourth industrial revolution.
Okay.
So like in the first industrial revolution, that's when we started having machines replace man labor. So that was primarily in agriculture. So like the cotton gin is a really famous one people
Right.
understand. Steamboats, things like that started to come out in the first industrial revolution. So what was worked on a lot is the agricultural production and the transportation infrastructure. And then what started happening in the next industrial revolution, where we get like World War I and World War II. So usually people separate those or talk about those as different phases of the same revolution. So World War I and II was a lot of military innovation that led to consumer product adoption and innovation, and we ended up with a lot of like the American Golden Age, where we ended up having um, like before that, light bulbs and telegraph and things like that, then
Okay.
leading into automobiles and and battleships and submarines. So all kinds of really interesting military technology. And then in the third industrial revolution, we end up having globalization totally ruining the middle class and the internet and all that. That, I mean, you were, I don't know how old you are, but you were raised during that probably.
Sure. Yes, sir.
And then now in this fourth industrial revolution, what we have is 5G and telecom technologies, metaverse and Web3 and blockchain and cryptocurrencies. So I think it was Ellen Jones. I have a quote from her. She goes, "The way is paved for artists, musicians, and other such types as industries of production decrease in precedence." So we've gone from a production-based economy to a creativity-based economy, and so we have so like already important for communication and coordination or NFTs. That's where I'm really focusing right now on like the cryptocurrency side, because I see NFTs as not just being important for parties and for swag, but actually being important for keys to cars and keys to homes and all other kinds of interesting applications. There are some projects that have tried to use NFTs for really interesting utility in like smart grids and public utilities, energy companies, things like that, but it hasn't really caught on. And so, but there is a use case for that. So I can see that being really important down the road. And I know Porsche was talking about using NFTs as a way to actually like start the car and show ownership, proof of ownership for the cars and things like that. So there's all kinds of interesting NFT utility coming out aside from like access to a party or a custom fanny pack or something like that.
Sure.
You know what's really interesting. So you said we're moving from an industrial-based economy to a creative-based economy. So a fun fact is the fastest growing sector for small businesses is YouTube creators or content creators. I don't know if it's YouTube specifically, but content creators is the fastest emerging small business right now. I think it's 50% of all new small businesses have that influencer or creator tag. And so thinking about, like, I was just going, okay, we're moving away from making stuff to creating content and that being an asset essentially. So It makes a lot of sense that monetizing creativity in a sense using NFTs. I mean, we're already seeing that right now. And like even on your CryptoPunk in a sense, I mean, your CryptoPunk number 4762, you're essentially monetizing an NFT to do, I mean, that's like your online identity, correct?
Yeah, and I actually am Brian D. Colwell, so I'm like not anonymous. I guess I'd be pseudo-anonymous, and Quotidian Marketing is a corporation with a business license, so I can't really hide. But I use the punk. I don't know, to say monetize it would be tough because I also just use my picture for a long time. I had my face on it, like a younger version of me, so I could totally catfish people. Haha. Joking. That picture right there actually was the one I had up for a long time. I put the punk there just because I like the punks, and I think punks are important for the NFT history. So I've always been a collectibles collector and investor. So baseball cards, comic books, all kinds of really interesting collectibles. I usually focus on high-level collectibles that are liquid and graded, and that everybody knows when you look at a picture what you're looking at. You don't have to try to self-grade it. So like I have a couple really good baseball cards. I have a couple good comic books, but I had a really huge baseball card collection that I actually started. I had put a bunch of money from bull market into high-level baseball cards and football cards, soccer cards, things like that, and started selling them as the market started dumping, so that I could start to buy up Ethereum under 2,000. Is what I did with a lot of my collectibles, and then now, so I just have a few high-level collectibles. Like the punk, I consider a high-level collectible. It's liquid and historically important, so I tend to focus on historically important collectibles. So like the Babe Ruth card I have is from his worst year ever in history, 1922, which is like when you look at Babe Ruth, like the movie on Babe Ruth where he's like drunk and smoking and crazy and like just total debauchery. That was from that's all one year, 1922. So like that's the baseball card I have of him.
That's a card for the culture right there.
So
Yeah,
what's the story behind the punk though? So when did you buy this, and what was the? I mean, I get that the historical significance. I think we can all agree that CryptoPunks and maybe a couple of others are like the key blue chip from this era. But how did you get involved in punks? What was the thought process behind that? Was it recently, or was it back, towards the beginning of this whole boom in the NFT market?
No, I waited because the prices were just so insane. So the whole boom during the NFT market, most of what I was doing was cashing out to show business income and then paying taxes, to be honest. And then now I'm back into investing in NFTs. I like drip drops, and I like regulars, and I like the cyber bandits. I think are super cool. That's what is on my banner right now. And
yeah, that art is really sweet.
Yeah, I think the cyber bandits from Michael Reeder are cool. Oh my gosh, yeah, those are the two primary baseball cards I left.
I wanted to bring them up. Yeah, I had to scroll a little bit, but I found them right here.
Yeah, that's a PSA for 1922 Babe Ruth. It's really cool because on the back it has the whole team of the Yankees at that time, but they weren't even called the Yankees yet. So it's kind of really cool.
The Americans, the New York Americans. I had no idea. Very nice.
Yeah, the New York Americans, and he wasn't like hugely fat then, and yeah, and then also it's on the back. It's one of like the earliest team cards I could find, and then I also think that's a cool card because most of what people collect is like the 1930s Goody Babe Ruth card, but he was already pretty much like out the door in the 30s. So the 20s is when he was actually a big player. So that's important. And then the Ty Cobb card is amazing. That's a mint condition PSA 9 Ty Cobb from 1910.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so dope. You can actually like see the fabric of the jacket he wore.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. It's really neat.
So I kept those. Those were my favorites. And then the history on like buying the punk, I bought him so everything was just so crazy for NFT prices. I waited, and then we had that big crash in NFTs and in crypto, and I bought my punk a few months ago for 55 Ethereum.
Such a good price. I mean that, and now it's doubled almost since then.
Yeah, it wasn't a floor punk when I bought it, because I bought the punk that I was like, I want him to be smoking a cigarette. I just say it's a joint. I want him to be smoking a joint. I want him to have sunglasses because I'm in Arizona, and I want him to have the mohawk because the mohawk is like the punk thing.
Right.
So I was like, I like him. I think he looks cool. He wasn't a floor punk when I picked him up. He was like 5 Ethereum or 7 Ethereum more or something like that. Maybe even more. I think that the punks got down to like 48 Ethereum, maybe 50 Ethereum, something like that. So I got mine for 55.
Very nice.
It's a great price. Actually, we were talking before this about just the value of most of these projects. Since you're someone that seems like studies markets and has some investing background, we've got a lot of projects out right now. The market, for the most part, is down. There's probably 20% of the overall projects that make up 80% of the secondary sales currently. Sure. You mentioned a couple of projects that you like, but how do you see the value of the majority of these projects going over the next year or so? And how do you think, or do you think that they'll be around 2, 3, 4, 5? And if so, what do they have to do to continue to increase value so that a collector or someone that's wanting to put their money in them feels comfortable about that asset?
Yeah, there's a lot of really good questions there, actually. So like the projects I mentioned before, so like regulars is, technically would be considered PFPs, but I look at it as more of like an art project. So, and I only have one regular. The drip drops I look at as more of a like photography project, and it's for me historically important because it is like the first photographer. Dave Krugman is the first photographer to actually work with Transient Labs to bring in emergent rarity traits to photographs. So I think that was really cool. And then on the side of the cyber bandits, those are all 1/1s that I also look at as artwork from Michael Reeder, and he's a well-established artist before launching NFTs. So I don't really look at what I have collected as PFPs primarily, except for like the punk and like historically important. I will say, and I hope I don't get like crucified for saying it publicly, but like I did have Clonex, a doodle, a bird, and a Nazuki, and I sold them all a few weeks back. I was really worried when I saw Ethereum pumping up, but PFP's going down.
Right.
Especially when you consider that the NFTs are supposed to kind of be a leverage play on Ethereum. I mean, if Ethereum goes down, NFTs are going to lose a lot. So if Ethereum goes up, the NFTs are supposed to go really up. Like you would expect to see everything going crazy, but it hasn't. They've been going down. So I find that to be really worrisome. And then when I look at on a lot of the primary like blue chip projects, you look at what the sales are, and there are a lot of bids being accepted below floor price. That's also super worrisome. And so I got out. I was like, I don't know what's happening, because I don't know. There's probably only 3 or 4 people that actually know what's going on, that actually control the market. I don't know what's going on. But what I do see is trends, and what I saw is a trend of prices coming down as Ethereum goes up, and I don't know where that stops. I know a lot of people are really unhappy with the blue chips launches of all, like, to give, like a Azuki had some sort of hoodie thing that they did. I wasn't able to participate in it for some reason. I don't know why. I had an Azuki, and then Clonex had their hoodie thing, and it was a nightmare. And I had a Clonex, and I wasn't able to get my hoodie. Whatever. I'm not super butthurt about it, but like my point with that is that you, as a young software project, you can't really be allowed that many failures. And I think too many of these projects are valued too highly for the failures that they've had. So like the Clonex failures were multiple, and it seemed to me like 12-year-olds, and not insulting to 12-year-olds, I mean, but like it seemed like a bunch of little kids just going fly by night launching stuff that wasn't ready. So I mean, almost unforgivable. The Doodles, those guys at Doodles are raising a lot of money. I mean, a lot. So they're probably going to be around for a while, and they're going to be fine. But what I don't like is that the duplicator and all the other stuff that they launched as like secondaries and all these other, like, hey, here's a whole bunch of money. Nobody knows what any of that stuff is actually going to do.
Yeah.
The problem, when you talk to them, they don't know what it's going to do either. That's a problem to me. And then on the Moonbird side, I think Moonbirds is really community focused, communicates well. I like that they do their Friday Twitter spaces. I like when you nest your Moonbird, they have all kinds of community engagement tools for you to help follow other Moonbirds on Twitter, and all kinds of cool engagement things on your nesting site. I think that's super cool. I also know from listening to them that they have a 3-year ramp, funding ramp, or not funding, but a 3-year burn for to get through the bear market. So they're fine. I don't expect the bear market lasting. I don't much longer, and I think the bear market probably is done anyway. So they're fine, and they're going to be around. But when you really listen to them, I don't think they really know what they want their stuff to look like either. And they certainly didn't listen to their community when it comes to their little grumpling guys, because way back on the day when they first launched the little Moonbird oddities, people were like, oh, I need to get the right oddity because it's going to be attached to my bird traits, and there might be some special stuff attached to that, blah, blah, blah. And then down the road in one of the spaces, Kevin or one of those guys or whatever says, no, that's just a rumor. And then it turns out that was actually the case. So the guys that had the rare birds got the rare grumpling guys. It was just like, what a nightmare. So, I mean, with them not really knowing what they want their stuff to look like and having so much money at their disposal, I think they're going to make it a few years, but I don't necessarily think any of these guys are going to be like the Google of NFTs. I mean, and I don't mean Google as like what they provide, but I mean Google in terms of like market cap size. Like, I don't think any of them is going to be like the Amazon.
Well, so here's the thing. Here's the thing that I've been trying to figure out. Okay, so a floor price right now on a Moonbird, you're talking $30,000. So if I'm looking at where to invest $30,000, and not only that, what am I getting back for $30,000? Like on Moonbirds, and this is someone, I don't own one, but I look at it and go, okay, I get access to a Discord with some sort of alpha with these guys that supposedly are influencers in the space and know what's going on, right?
And by the way, side note, I don't even do any of the Discords because there are too many scams. So
Right.
I avoid all the Discords anyway.
So what's the value? I get access to a Discord. I get to stake it, but staking, that doesn't necessarily benefit me. That benefits taking these off the markets for the people that own them because there's less out there. Unless I'm getting something of value.
Technically, it does. Technically, it benefits you because at 1 month, you get a pack of stickers.
Exactly. So
I love stickers. I love stickers
now, and I get a pack of stickers for $30,000. And if I compare that to, let's say, Bored Ape Yacht Club, okay, Bored Ape Yacht Club, if you got one of those over the last 3 years, how much money did you get back? I mean, you easily paid for your investment just in airdrops that you got in coins and tokens. And
right.
If I'm comparing value,
the expectation is for the Moonbirds high rise that there are going to be continued airdrops. They've insinuated that there are going to be more airdrops, but with the failure of the oddities one, I don't see the value in the next one. I mean, people are going to just dump it right away. There has to be. So I mean, the only one that has really nailed a secondary is Bored Ape because the mutants are cool.
Yeah. Well, and punks, right? They're significant. So you look at 1 and 2 right there. Everyone likes to throw out the word blue chip, but we're in the first year. And like you said with the Zuki, you get a couple mess ups. You know what? Azuki's never really recovered. It's at 10, 11 right now. And that was like,
no, it's like 9 something.
9, yeah, but it was hot all of a sudden. And then Moonbirds. Yeah. But if Ethereum stays down and the market stays down, people are going to go, okay, I've got $30,000. What am I getting for this $30,000? If I get a pack of stickers and I get access to a Discord, and that's about where, I mean, people are going to they're going to get bored and they're going to want to put their money into an asset like those baseball cards, those that have established value. And you know that it's probably not going to go down much from where it's at because it's been shown over years. We're less than 2 years in and anything can happen. Totally. And it's a riskier asset.
I totally agree with that. You know, as a financial, like my background in financial planning, I always was looking at market caps for miners. And so you always want to try to find like the small cap miners, but then there's a risk, blah, 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 because they're more in exploratory phase. Anyway, with that, I tend to look at cryptocurrencies by market cap. When you look at the market cap for cryptocurrencies, you realize that most cryptocurrencies are still technically small caps. I mean, if you look at what they would be by market cap if they were actually publicly traded stocks.
Right.
And I forget, I think definition of a large cap stock. Let me double check.
Right? 500 million?
No, a large cap stock hold a market cap of 10 billion or more.
Wow.
10 billion to be a large cap stock. Okay, so if we look at the market cap for most projects, how many are actually $10 billion projects?
They're not.
I don't think
and that's something that I had brought up the other day, and correct me if I'm wrong, but let's say Moonbirds, for example, there's 10,000. The floor price is, let's say, 30,000, your entry point. So if you take 30,000 and multiply that by 10,000, you get 300 million as a market cap, correct?
That's math in my head. I'm not doing it.
But I'm just saying, do we think that if I take $300 million publicly traded companies with history and I compare that to something that's a year and a half in because Kevin Rose did this and it's all speculation and hype, do I really feel like there's enough cash flow and enough secondary sales and revenue, legitimate revenue, that I could say, okay, I'm going to invest. I'm going to put a $300 million market cap on this.
Yeah,
if I'm an investor and I'm looking at where to put my money and I want to buy a 10% stake, am I really going to look at that and go, that's worth 300 million and I'm going to give you 30 million for? I just find it very hard if you could put it into something that has established cash flow over the last 10 years and growth and numbers and you know what I mean?
Well, also, I mean, when you're talking about publicly traded companies, you're actually buying equity in a company. So you have a share of the profit, and that share in the profit either goes to growth or dividend. And so in this case, what are you buying?
Right. You don't get any of that.
I mean, you don't get any of that. You don't get any of that at all, actually. So every time you buy one of those things, you're giving the creator money. So, they get royalty. So I don't really know like what you're buying. I thought I understood what you were buying. I thought I understood what you were buying with Doodles, Azuki, and Clonex. Also, I thought I understood, but the more I've dug into the success or lack of success in the launches that they've had, and then also in the question marks about what they're actually building, I have to say, I don't know if any of them are going to be successful long term. I wouldn't put a huge amount of money into it. You have to look at liquidity. And so liquidity reduces risk. And so people want to put their money into more liquid assets. And the most liquid asset is going to be Ethereum, not the Moonbird or not the Clonex or the whatever that you end up having to sell below floor price because somebody gave you an offer on it. You just take what you can get.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, this brings up really great points. And in lieu of all the opportunities that you addressed at the beginning of the show, you did say that like you believe in the blockchain. You think that it's important for, longevity and that sort of thing. What do you do when somebody comes to you, again, in lieu of all the opportunities that we just addressed, and is convinced like crypto and NFTs is a scam, or, doesn't hold this long-term opportunity for sustainability? Like, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I just like to talk to people about this stuff. I mean, I would say I got my pool guy into Ethereum back when it was like really low, and I told him don't buy NFTs. And, I tell people not to buy NFTs at all. That's, to be honest, that's what I tell people, because they don't know how to hold them. They don't know how to leverage them. They don't know how to even display them or buy them or any of that. I mean, most people that I talk to outside of crypto don't know what a Bored Ape is. And if Bored Ape is the biggest NFT, then you definitely don't want them trying to get some sort of like degen play.
Right.
They're going to get totally hosed. That'll be the fastest way for somebody to lose money and to get out. So what I just tell people to do is to just buy Ethereum.
Nice.
Yeah, and they've been happy with that. And then so for like the naysayers, so like back in 2017, I was talking to a bunch of my family about Bitcoin, and they were like, Bitcoin is a scam and blah, 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 and digital money is a scam. And I'm like, all your money's like basically digital anyway. You understand how this works, right? And they're like, blah, 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 I'm buying gold. And I'm like, that's great. You should have gold too. I mean, if you want to have a permanent portfolio, you need an equal allocation of cash, bonds, stocks, real assets, cryptocurrencies, commodities. You need a balance. So what I ended up doing is I gave everybody in my family $100 worth of Bitcoin. And they were like, and then last year they were like, oh my God, I've got Bitcoin. They're showing all their family and friends, like at work and stuff, that they have Bitcoin from 2017 that's worth a bunch more money.
Right. Yeah, that's great. That is great.
So okay. I think people could watch this and say, oh, this is FUD, right? You guys are fudding. I think at least the people here are probably bullish on NFTs long term, but maybe have a more realistic outlook of maybe what you're getting for your money now, and have enough knowledge in the space to know how to, protect your assets and, mitigate risk to some extent. But what is your outlook over the next, 5 years with NFTs? Do you feel that this period is just a trend that has, just like music, things come in style and things go out of style? You have one hit wonders. Or do you think that this is going to be how it is for long term? Or what do you think is going to happen in the NFT space? Not necessarily just in collectibles, but just how the technology is going to emerge.
Yeah. So where I see the trend and the technology going actually is to the actual artists. So it seems to me like people are kind of saying, I don't know what I'm buying when I'm buying this PFP. I don't know what I'm buying. But if I buy something from X copy, I know I'm buying something from X copy. I know he's a famous glitch artist. I know I want his crypto art. Or Beeple or Drift or any of those really famous, like Guido, or any of those like famous photographers. And there are a lot of landscape artists. I think Kathy just had a drop today that she's doing like ice caves or something like that. So I think that's where people are going to go. They're going to say, I still want to be able to have community to identify with. We understand NFTs are important for community and identity, but who am I? So when we have somebody that can say, I have a digital art collection that represents these 10 different artists, and I can show it in this digital museum that you can go visit, I think that's kind of cool. And then somebody will be able to curate their own collections of one-ones, or from super rare from like their favorite artists or whatever they're into, landscapes or composites or whatever. So I think that is a trend we're already seeing. We're seeing money moving into the actual artists and the actual artwork as people start to support individuals, not companies. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought there was going to be more space for like the companies, but
yeah,
I think there is a ton of space for the companies to come in and to grow, but the market is so small that there are very few people actually moving the dial, and like I said, very few people actually know what's going on. And I don't mean that just as like we're talking FUD and things like that, but I mean we just have to look at the market caps. All we have to do is say, if we just look at the market caps, and the market cap is an indication of interest. That's it. There's a reason why Amazon has the market cap it does. It's because people bought a whole bunch of it.
right.
That's why. And it makes a whole lot of money. That's the reason they bought it. And so there's also a reason why people don't buy. I don't know you know what I wanted to say is I wanted to say crypto dick butts, because I'm like, oh my God, dick butts. Like, but the thing is, like, that would be like the biggest degen like cypherpunk thing ever if dick butts actually became a thing and were actually talked about on like CNBC. They're like,
Oh my goodness.
and we're like, are you kidding me? But like that would be so crypto.
For
Like,
sure.
I don't give two F's. Dick butts are pumping, and I'm buying them. Bullish on dick butts. But you know what I mean? But like the market for crypto is small still. It's still early.
Yep.
And the market for NFTs is even smaller. So for most people, if you actually wanted to get into NFTs, I would say look at the artist you want to support and then don't plan on selling it for profit. I think is the best way for most people to invest in NFTs. I'm contrarian in that way, though. I always invest in collectibles with the intent of reselling at some point. So, right. I mean, even the punk, I'm like, I'm not going to sell my punk, but somebody messaged me the other day, like, how much do you want for your punk? And I was like, 100 Ethereum. And they're like, I was like, I don't want to sell it, but like.
But at the right price.
I'm not going to make 60, 75 grand in a couple months. Come on now.
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I'll take it. I'll just go buy a floor punk and I'll just be really happy with my new floor punk and I'll take that with Ethereum, or buy like put an offer on 2 punks or something. I don't know.
Speaking of, that's probably a really good segue into punks in general. I don't follow. I'm not in the Discord. I don't have a punk. But what do you think the future for punks is? Because they just came out with the Tiffany's. They're doing some partnerships. Some pretty notable people own them. I think we would all agree that that's the OG project. Now that they got acquired by Yuga, how do you think that they're going to emerge as a brand and as a company long term?
Yeah, and they just hired somebody to help manage their partnerships too.
Oh, nice. Very.
I forgot who that was. I think he had actually come from Christie's or something like that on the digital
I think
asset.
you're right.
Yeah. So they're definitely, so Yuga Labs is definitely looking to grow that brand. I think they also mentioned something about the IP rights. They're going to be working on that or making some sort of announcement about that in the next 6 months or so. But I don't follow the Discord or the chat on it at all. That's the great thing about owning a punk is if you get a good price on it, you don't really care because it's an important piece of history. Yep. So my view on punks is if you are bullish on NFTs, then punks are a safe play.
Fair enough.
That's the easiest way for me to put it, because punks are always going to be punks, just like Babe Ruth is always going to be Babe Ruth.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
Punks,
And
punks are like the Bitcoin of NFTs.
Right.
Agreed. We definitely look at them as kind of like the OG in the space. And I know it's kind of weird to say, but if you see somebody with a CryptoPunks profile picture and you don't do a lot of research, you kind of take them as an expert in the space automatically, right? There's like some rapport that comes with that PFP.
I think that is true. That's unfortunate that somebody can just basically put $100,000 down to buy influence.
Well, you can say the same for Bored Apes too, though. I mean,
yeah, for sure. There's definitely a social flex associated with the PFP market. I think that's gonna come down for sure. Like on like the ape side too. I think there's gonna be more market decline. I think Franklin, one of the big ape holders, was putting bids in at 70 or something like that. I have to check on that, but if you have some of the whales looking at 70 or putting bids on a 70, they're hoping to get that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have a little bit more decline in the PFP side, while we continue to blow out mints on the actual artists producing work and using the technology. So getting back to your technology side, where I see the technology going for NFTs, Transient Labs is doing some really cool stuff with artists producing rarity traits and other kinds of like gamification of the NFTs. So I saw they did one with a photographer, I forget what his name is, but he does drone photography, where like somebody bought the NFT, and if you decided to basically burn the NFT, like break it and shatter it, it's like a TV screen, then it breaks apart into 4 other NFTs that are that you don't know what they are. They're like random NFTs from the same artist. So I thought that was cool. Paul Bergman did the drip drops, and Transient Labs did emergent rarity traits on that, like actually looking at, in this photograph, how many drops are there versus the other collection. How about the color that's reflecting off the light, things like that. And I thought that was really cool. So when you have actual artists incorporating emerging, not just emerging, but any rarity traits, or starting to make it easier for collectors to understand what the rarity is, I think that's going to make it a lot easier for more collectors to participate. That's why PFP did so well too, is because you could have somebody say, oh, this is a floor ape, but I've got the ape that somebody wants to put a bid that's 10x off the floor on. So, and you're seeing that with the punks right now, the really rare punks. Some of them are going for insane. I saw a bid over $1 million on one of them recently. So I see that all the time with the rarity actually mattering. I can see that mattering for art down the road, and if not just rarity being important, but also helping gamify or put some sort of performance into the NFT piece. Like I was talking to Kath just the other day, like she did this ice cave piece, but what about, it was in super remote area. It took her she was out there for 2 months, but what if she had an NFT that was the start of her journey, and it changed day by day or week by week?
Yeah.
Different NFT that showed people where she was at in the journey. So things like that, I think, would be cool, like actually making the NFT a performance.
Yeah, no, and imagine that in Texas, they just recently discovered this lizard that I think they said was 30 or 50 feet long. And it's a process, the result of an excavation, dinosaur bones and that sort of thing. Imagine NFTing that process. That would have been really awesome as well.
Really cool. Yeah. Video, attach sound, attach music, and then have some sort of at the end, you have your little Tiffany's box claim, and inside is a dinosaur bone. Perfect.
Beautiful. Right there. Beautiful. Hold on. They got to sign us to this one. We can't give any more of these good ideas.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, but I did
Tiffany's fossil collection.
Absolutely. And I did want to ask you, are you married?
Yeah.
You are married. Okay. So how did your
I've been married 20 years.
Nice. So how does your spouse feel about the CryptoPunk?
Oh yeah, she's my wife, Kristen Colwell, is on Twitter also. She she helps with the business, helping manage some of the back end stuff. So she's super into it. She's been into crypto for a long time.
Very nice. Okay, great.
Yeah, so she has an MFer that she likes.
Those MFers. Yep.
Yeah, she's got an MFer.
Yeah, I saw a tweet the other week that it was Have you really gone down the NFT rabbit hole if you haven't been divorced and lost your house? It was like all the NFT, all Nick
Oh
put
my
that. I
gosh.
was like, oh man, I could totally see that being an
So
accurate statement.
my wife and I built our crypto business like starting 2017-ish is when it really started blowing out. We had sold our condo in San Diego. We bought an RV, and then we started driving around in the U.S. And while she was driving the rig is when I was writing and managing social media and working with clients.
That's
Yeah, so
awesome.
why don't you talk to us about your role in the space now here with Quotidian Marketing and your blog and things of that nature?
So for my blog right now, I'm focusing on important NFT not just NFT creators, but like actual crypto artists or NFT artists. It's funny when I talk to the artists because they'll be like, I don't like to call myself a photographer, NFT artist. I'm a crypto artist, or I'm a photographer, not a crypto artist. But that's why I'm focusing so much on the crypto artists right now, is because they in general need help just with their branding and their business and understanding how to talk to collectors and how to expand their business in the space. But so these creators I've been interviewing are already pretty well established or important in some ways. Like the one I did just recently, the kid's only 15 years old. He's the youngest artist represented on Super Rare. So I was like,
Wow.
how does that even happen? How does a 15-year-old get into being a crypto artist creator, and then getting noticed on Foundation and Super Rare and OpenSea? And I was like, that's just amazing to me. So helping people understand the brands and businesses of other creators is where I'm focused right now, and then at the same time helping to introduce those artists to new collectors and new investors. Hopefully, is my goal.
Yeah,
That's where I'm focused right now primarily.
that's great. And you've published a number of these. One of the things that Hofstra commented on initially is how consistent you are with your blog posts. Are there any of these that are like a must read? For obviously they're all must reads, but anything that you would recommend our audience goes and checks out?
Yeah, so I think it would also kind of depend on the kind of art you're into. Like,
Okay.
I really like Patrick Amadon's glitch art. I like his glitch art a lot more than most glitch artists because his art has evolved over time.
Is that the guy that did Wreck Guy?
I'm sorry,
No.
what was that?
Is that who did Wrecked Guy?
No, that's OSF. Wreck Guy is amazing. I mean, that's an amazing one. I like Guido, and Dave Krugman, I think, is worth reading because he gave me a lot of really good information to work with, and he's also the photographer that did the partnership with Transient Labs to work on the emerging rarity traits on the drip drop. So I think that would be a cool one to look into for anybody that's looking at artists that are interesting or doing something new with the technology. But then if you're just looking at like a good intro to like the Industrial Revolution, I did a short intro on the NFT role in the Industrial Revolution on May 22nd, just as like a few words to help people understand my thought process, then leading into focusing on NFT creators.
Very nice. Yeah, I'll definitely give. Well, I'll make sure I give some of them a check out, but I'll start with the NFT role in Industrial Revolution because, like I mentioned earlier, I think that was something that was particularly enticing for me. And so my last blog question is, if you could interview any contributor to the Fourth Industrial Revolution or crypto artist that you haven't yet, who's on your target list there? Who would you like to sit down with?
Dang, that's really hard.
Yeah, I know you had mentioned a few earlier, and I wrote them down. X copy, Beeple, Drift, or Shoots. Didn't know if you had just like somebody
I
that's like
talked to
right up
Drift.
there for you.
I talked to Drift. He's actually he's shooting right now. I mean, he's just too busy. He's like at the top of a building like yesterday, so he just doesn't have time to do interview stuff. But like when he basically climbs down to a building and heads to Arizona, I'm gonna tag him. So he's on my list for sure.
Very
I would
nice.
drop Drift
I met
because
him at VCon. He was super cool. He was just like a
yeah,
totally approachable guy.
I was just gonna say super approachable dude. I like him quite a bit. Other artists I think would be cool to interview would be like Snowfro from Art Blocks, because he created Chromie Squiggles. Again, historically important as
Yes,
the first
sure.
as the first to launch on Art Blocks. So like I think he'd be cool to interview. Um, um, I forgot his name. The guy who did Archetype and then also Fidenza. I think like talking about some of the first generative artists I think would be interesting, since we know that there are a lot of artists working on generative art right now.
Yeah, I think that would be great as well. And so, this has been a great guest. I really love your opinions on different things in the Web3 space. We do a segment here on the show. It's a little bit newer, but we're going to try and continue it here. It's called Beefing on the Blockchain, and we know it's all love and that sort of thing.
Okay.
But is there like a person, a project, or a pet peeve that you have on the blockchain that you'd like to address here?
Oh my gosh.
Had to put you on the spot there.
Oh my gosh, there are so many over the years. It's actually ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Um, wow.
I,
Oh,
I think we
wow.
might need to start giving people a heads up about this.
Yeah, you have to give me a heads up because it's like by year or by month. Like, what is the drama
He
by
said, "I'm
month?
glad you asked."
I would say
Yeah.
this year, most recent, what pisses you off that you just want to say something about?
Oh my God. I mean, I'm most pissed off about the failure of the blue chip NFT projects on their swag and secondaries and output.
Perfect.
I would agree.
I was like, I'm gonna take the offer I have. I'm not gonna list, because I know the moment I list at the floor, somebody's gonna drop below that floor, and then the
Right.
floor is gonna go down, and the floor is gonna go down. And I'm just gonna take the offer I can get, because the offer I can get is probably where the price is gonna go anyway.
But doesn't it seem like the people that are invested in these projects, I mean, they're most of them are pretty smart people. I mean, they're not dumb. They seem pretty educated, and they're hanging on to the value of these things, trying to convince themselves that they're worth what they're worth. And they know they're not getting anything, but they can't say that, they've invested so much in the project, and they can't say anything negative because they don't want to flood their bags,
Those are bag holders. Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard the Twitter Spaces where they're like, "I'll never sell," and I'm like, I mean, if something is dead, it's dead. And I'm not saying any of these projects are dead. I mean, they have so much money, and there's so much money on the VC side that's coming in. Not that helps you, the collector, to be honest, but there is a lot of money coming into these projects. So I would say, I forgot where I was going with that. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I got distracted thinking about how upset I am by all these, like, the failures from all these projects. You had said something I was going to respond to. I forgot what it was, though.
He just said, "Don't you think there's like smart people investing in these projects?"
Oh, and then they don't want to
Yeah,
sell.
no. They're convincing themselves that what they're getting is a value. Like, I got a freaking
Oh,
fanny pack. Like, come on, really?
I was gonna say, I think a lot of times those are people that have regular full-time jobs. That's what I was thinking about. Because it's easy for somebody to have a regular full-time job where they make 6 figures, and they say, "Well, I invested 40 grand, or whatever in this NFT, and it's my moon bag. Like, I get to say I have it. I go to work and I talk about it, and I get to participate in this community, and I get to tweet about it, and I feel cool about myself because it's like I'm going to be a rock climber, and I'm going to also have this NFT, and those are the communities I'm involved in. And on Saturdays I go play golf with my group of friends or something. I don't know. But like, I think that's what it is for a lot of people. Is easy. I mean, for like on the tech side, I know I was listening to some of the calls for some of these like tech, very, very tech focused VC. They're collecting a lot of VC money, these kinds of projects. These are people that are invested that have regular jobs, like in tech or in Silicon Valley or wherever they're at. I know a lot of them are in LA or in New York, and it's a lot of money, but it's not to them, I think, the end of the world if it loses half of its money, because they already have retirement or regular income. Like in my case, 100% of my income is crypto and has been for years and years. So,
Wow.
I mean, there's at some point you have to pull the trigger on your loss. You have to stop. You have to stop the loss. There's a reason it's called a stop loss. You have to stop the loss, because this is the other thing in crypto, if something is dead, something else is pumping. Somebody is moving that money somewhere else to make it make more money, because it's a small market. So don't get stuck holding a bag that's dead. Move that money to make your money make more money, or take a bet somewhere else. Ideally, you want to make small losses and make a lot of losses, but make them small when you make them. But then make just a few wins. But when you make a few wins, make them big.
Right.
I won big on goblins. I won big on that one, and I won big on my punk. But I lost on like a bunch of other stuff.
For sure.
At least broke even. I broke even on my bird, but like I lost on Clonex and Azuki a little bit. I was like, I don't care. Honestly, I just want to be out. And then I went and I bought like too many of those cyber bandits because they're amazing.
Yeah, I was really interested in your cyber bandit, and
they look cool though.
You're giving one away right now, so for
yeah,
anybody in the audience, make sure
I
you
think
check
that would
this
look dope on my wall. You know, just as a piece of art, that just looks cool. That's the kind of stuff I like to buy.
Yeah, I like the kind of like dystopian kind of graffiti style that he has, that Michael Reeder has. And I think 11 days, 12 days or whatever, you need 10 bandits, and then you get one print pass, and then he's going to send a print. I think it's a Geesley that's going to be like have some hand painted updates. Yeah, and then it's going to be signed.
Dang,
so
that's sweet.
I'm hoping to put like a group of them together on my wall.
Very nice. You'll have to, well, obviously, I'm sure you'll post about it whenever it happens. But yeah, can't wait to see that. Brian, really appreciate your time today. I know we're kind of coming on an hour and wanted to be respectful of your time and everything else you got to get done today in Arizona. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything we should have brought up that we didn't bring up?
No, not really. I mean, I think we pretty much nailed everything. Do you have any other questions for me? I'm happy to pop on anytime and chat, to be honest. I mean, work from home is pretty convenient, so you let me know.
Beautiful.
No, I like your take on a lot of these things. I think it's very pragmatic and real. I'm
an old timer, man, so like I can't afford to lose half my money. That's where I come from. Like at the end of the day, I have bills to pay, and I'm 100% crypto, so I can't keep everything in crypto. I have to take pains.
Yeah. Well, I like the perspective. I think we need more of that, and I feel like it's going in that direction. I mean, because that whole WAGMI thing of last year was just when everything was going up, like everybody's a genius. Now, when your bags are 75% down, and you're sitting there figuring out like, oh, how am I gonna get this back? I think you got to think a little bit different about where we're at and reevaluate your strategy. And so I really like your take on it, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge with us.
Yeah, for sure. In bear markets, and we're definitely in a bear market, you definitely have to change your strategy for sure. I mean, projects that are marketing have to change their strategies too. When you're in a bull market like we were, you can use botted accounts to pump bags easy. I mean, everybody's just buying whatever they see on Twitter, to be honest. That's how it works. Everybody's just making money on everything.
Right.
But when you're in a bear market, people are looking for value, and they're looking for real people to talk about real projects. And in this case, I think most of the real projects are the artists that are actually producing.
Absolutely. So you hear that, you so-called blue chips out there? We want real value. Come on. Like enough of the
But how do they determine value? I do think there's going to be a blue chip that comes out of all of this failure, maybe in the next year or so, that has a different approach to how to add value and how to bring value to the investor from the equity side.
Yeah, I think
it's an investment. I don't know how you get around that from the legal side, but I know it's an SEC issue is why they don't do that.
But it'll change. That's my take. It will have to change, or it will get changed for them. Then you can look at it a little bit different. Right now, it's a gray area. And to your point before, all you're doing is helping a project. If the value is people don't think this thing is worth 20 ETH anymore, it's not worth 20 ETH. That's it. And so the way that they determine, utility or value now is the price goes up. If the price doesn't go up at a certain point, you can't get hoodies that are, going to keep you in a project, or fanny packs.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I can go buy a hoodie at Kohl's,
Right.
I mean, I'm not worried about it. I can buy a fanny pack on eBay, like an OG one from like the 80s. You know, like
Right.
I'm okay. I don't need a custom one for 40 grand.
Beautifully said. Yeah. And rumor has it, I know we talked about it having to change. There's this guy I've been following on Twitter for some time. I think he might be the one to initiate that change. His name is Sticky Finger Jones. So just right, yeah.
What?
So so watch out
My
for
guy.
that. Yeah.
You have something coming up? Yeah, I'd be interested. I was actually thinking maybe at some point what happens is, you know, an NFT project, not an NFT project, but like a company it's a publicly traded company that then backs into the NFT community, but with the plan of being an NFT community from the beginning, not like, hey, I am IHOP and I have a pancake token or
Right.
pancake metaverse or whatever. I mean, like a publicly traded company that is all regulated and everybody understands what they're buying and it has actual analysts, and then they back into the NFT side with the plan of having a metaverse and a community from the beginning.
Yeah, that would
Very
be cool.
nice.
And actually, this just in, Coca-Cola has launched an NFT collection on Polygon Network. So what you're seeing these days is bigger publicly traded or well-known companies, even in this bear market, are jumping in. And we've seen it with a number of really big names recently, and even Meta saying that, you know, they're expanding to 100 countries. So even in this downturn, there are big names coming in, and I think that's bullish for the space, but someone's going to have to figure it out. I like that idea. I think that would be really
You
cool.
will
I don't
see
know
it.
how to pull that off.
And to say it even in the bear market, you know, I come from the marketing side. Anybody that understands how marketing works knows that the best time to put marketing money into marketing is when you're in a bear market, because that's when you establish your foothold. That's when you establish the brand, and you establish, like on Twitter, for example, that's when you establish your hashtag real estate and your community and all that, so that when you do have a bear market, things blow up. So like when you see Coca-Cola and Audi and Tiffany's, I mean, Tiffany's was like, what for this chain thing? But like the fact that they're doing it and they sold a whole bunch, they made a whole bunch of money, they're happy, and it's gonna be bullish for other projects. I mean, not other projects, but other actual companies, publicly traded companies, like you said, coming into the space. I mean, Nike is already involved with Clonex, but I was hoping more so. But who is going to actually, not Meta, not Facebook, but like who's going to take it to the next level and actually have NFTs with the community, with the Discord, with the swag, with the all of that? Like, who's going to do that and keep the investors safe at the same time?
Agreed. Race to the next level.
Yeah, that's it. You got to keep people safe. I mean, we're seeing regulations starting to come into the cryptocurrency side, and then the Wild West now is the NFT market. So at some point, that's all going to catch up. You got to keep people safe.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Could not have said it better myself. Again, thank you so much for your time, Brian. It was great to meet you. I actually wrote down here, you said you'll pop on anytime, so we will hold you to that. Obviously,
Oh yeah, anytime.
we'll give you a little bit of notice, but definitely.
Especially if you're wearing your Phoenix gear, I see.
Yeah,
you gotta get in the.
Yeah, next time I'll rock Arizona something with you guys, so I'm not the odd man out here. But
yes, sir.
Absolutely. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Web3 DJs, the fastest 30 minutes of NFTs and crypto on the blockchain. We went an hour today, but the conversation was so good we had to keep things going. Thank you again to our guest, Mr. Brian Colwell. Let me pull up your Twitter here. I have the link to both your Twitter and Quotidian Marketing in the video description, so make sure you guys check that out. Until next time, I'm Sticky Fingers Jones, Hofstra, and
thank you very much.
CryptoPunk number 4762 himself.
Have a good one.
Peace.
See you later.